Doamnelor și domnilor, tehnologia modelează viitorul industriei, al securității și al inovației mai mult ca niciodată. Următorul nostru panel reunește experți de top în inteligența artificială, calcul de înaltă performanță și tehnologii avansate, care vor discuta despre aceste evoluții și impactul lor asupra diferitelor sectoare. Discuția va fi moderată de Alexandru Georgescu, cercetător la IGI București și moderator al unui grup de lucru în cadrul European Defence Agency. Vă rog să invităm în scenă.
Vă mulțumesc foarte mult. Aș dori să invit paneliștii pe scenă. Please, the panelists, if they could join me here on stage. Thank you very much. Let's sit down. I'd like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to moderate this panel and for the panelists for accepting to take on this challenge to tackle a very important subject. My name is Alexandru Georgescu. I work for the National Institute for Research and Development in Informatics. I have the honor of moderating this short panel today and trying to bring the exceptional skills, knowledge, and achievements of the panelists to you to impress on you the importance of the Silicon Shield and how private companies are contributing to resilience and how they have become a huge part of the ecosystem of resilient infrastructure. I'd like to introduce my panelists today. So I'd like to start with Diana Sipos, if I pronounce this correctly, who is a country manager for Eviden Technologies Romania for high performance computing and AI. I'd also like to introduce Cristian Cojocaru, who is a chief technologist for artificial intelligence solutions for HPE. David Spurway, IBM Power and AI Security Principal for Europe, Middle East and Asia, IBM Technology Sales. Mr. Gabriel Pavel, who is a regional director for FSAS Technologies, which is a Fujitsu company. And last but not least, Mr. Mihai Manole, a managing partner for Tema Energy. First, I'd like to give the opportunity to all of the speakers, in the order I introduced them, to present their views on the subject of the Silicon Shield tech giants powering infrastructure resilience for 3 minutes. Please, I'd like to start with Diana.
Hello. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. Of course, everyone mentioned this very nice venue, but I would also like to mention the very nice audience and to welcome very many international guests. So it's a pleasure that we are all together in this event discussing interesting subjects that evolve in today's ever-changing environment. I do admit that the title of this panel has raised the bar and has put the context, our presence in a context, in a term, by using a term that is rather geopolitical and has put more pressure on the shoulders of tech companies to show and to highlight how they are using their power to protect the critical infrastructures and to protect the environment where they are present. So for us, I would say that we are a French based company that has used many names throughout the years. A part of the Atos group, we are now promoting and using the Bull brand for our advanced computing business. We are the only European-based provider, tech company that is able to design, produce, and implement high-performance and AI infrastructure. Therefore, we are present to support the sovereignty of European governments and institutions and players. So for us, making use of the power that we have in this position is very, very important. Yeah, so just to add from technology perspective, it is critical that we, as vendors, make use and perform security by design in all the solutions and products that we put forward and offer to governments, to institutions. So it is our commitment to protect the critical infrastructures and what governments are utilizing in their day-to-day activities. However, it is on governments still to coordinate through regulation and through policies and frameworks the way they implement the technology and they protect critical infrastructures.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, those introductory remarks. Please, Mr. Cojocaru, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and for the opportunity of being here, speaking with everyone. So I gave quite a lot of thought at the title of this panel, and I kind of see two main approaches to it. So from where I sit, I'm in a role where day to day I design and architect AI factory solutions for customers, but I also go into the implementation of such systems or architecture. And maybe it's a bit controversial, but I would like to say that critical infrastructure or resilience has been solved for many, many years. If we look at the infrastructure itself, I think in 2026, the risk actually comes from shared dependencies. So we no longer need to look at infrastructure as something that's vertical, that fails only within my organization, but actually at the entire ecosystem. And trying to tag in your geopolitical comment, I think it's very important because we see the infrastructure spanning across multiple countries or across multiple systems. And if we look like, for example, last year there was a very big system that failed that was providing just a simple networking service, but it actually affected businesses in all verticals, right? So I think it's really, really important that by looking at the Silicon Shield, we put together the infrastructure resiliency and shared dependencies, looking at the horizontal layer. And the second approach I see as Silicon Shield from our position is that let's look at the Fusion Act, right? What that means for organization. I think Silicon Shield also plays a big role here. We can't wait to see some new laws, some new regulations that basically are going to deny us access to technology. We need to invest into European technologies. We need to run center of excellences. We need to run labs. We need to train people and educate people to have a proper Silicon Shield and protect ourselves.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cojocaru, for that very provocative view, actually, that you put on the table for us. I'd like to invite now David Spurway from IBM to take the floor.
Hello there, I am David Spurway, and firstly I would like to apologise for forcing you all to listen to English. I apologise for that. I would like to thank you for bringing me to such an amazing venue. This is wonderful to be here, thank you very much indeed. I am put on agendas to talk fast and to bring things back on track, so if I go too fast, please throw things at me and slow me down. IBM, he is here to build the business machines. That is what IBM stands for, is International Business Machines. And we believe ourselves to be a hybrid cloud and AI company. And where we build those machines, those components for our business, we look at this and work out what caused outages in the past. We have something called the DOCS methodology, designed for operational excellence. We look at where areas it stopped working before. Was there a reason it fell over and there was an unplanned outage? Is there a way we can design or mitigate a way to remove that thing that took it down before? Is there also then something which had to be done, a planned outage that required these things to come down and do something about it? And so there are those, of course, that happen a lot at the moment. My daughter works for Jaguar Land Rover. The reason that's important is that Jaguar Land Rover is one of the many companies that got hit by a serious cyber attack last year. In the UK, the number of nationally significant cyber attacks last year was in the region of 200. So we have about 4 nationally significant cyber attacks every week. That compares to the year before was 83. So we have over double the number of nationally significant cyber attacks taking place. What we then need to do to be able to address some of these is we need to be able to apply patches and look after our servers. But the things actually need outage to do that, and they're busy, they're doing useful things. So one of the things we've been looking at are ways that we can apply these patches to remove the vulnerabilities that the bad actors are using to get in and cause such massive disruption without bringing down the business services. And that I'm sure my colleagues are doing similar as well. And I would agree with the point. We all, of course, are now working in an interconnected world, so the business machines need to be able to give you your service without coming down. I should probably pause there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pavel. You have the floor.
Hi everyone, Gabriel Pavel is my name. Probably some of you are asking why Fujitsu is here. And first of all, thank you for inviting us. On the theme presented or proposed by you related to the silicon defend, Fujitsu believes very much in the fact that we can have a better shield once we have more solutions or more diversified solutions and more innovation. And let me explain a little bit, because in terms of innovation, Fujitsu is the 5th global player in terms of number of patents on the AI topic. This is one. Second point is Fujitsu, one of the very few, probably together with Eviden, which are non-US, non-China's technology providers globally. And I think this is good, especially in our, let's say, day-to-day discussions with the governments and with the local authorities. It's very good to come with some proposals which are not so dependent on a very, very limited number of technology players that are active in this moment in this area. Third point is, when we are talking about the shield, we are not talking only about the CPU level, but we are talking about all the layers when we are talking about this. And we are talking about networking, and here we can talk a lot about the AI RAN and the innovation on building secure AI-driven communication networks. We are talking about compute, and here Fujitsu is one of the very, very few players which are coming with clear proposal related to the AI-driven or AI-dedicated CPUs. This year, by mid of this year, we launched Monaca, which will be a full dedicated CPU for AI workloads with roughly 20% less energy consumed and roughly 25% more workloads, so faster in terms of processing AI workloads. So we are talking also about the compute. We are talking also about the LLM level. And here it's also important because definitely in this moment, everyone knows about these huge, big LLMs. But coming back a little bit on the topic of sovereignty, I think that the future belongs not necessarily to the huge, giant LLMs, but more on industry-focused LLMs, which could be more suitable for industry-specific, for the IoT things, for the defense, for the aerospace, where size is really important, not just because the devices are smaller, but also related to the time to process request, communication speed, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of topics behind the let's say, chips or behind the shield, and we are very happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that sketch of your vision of the future. And last but not least, I'd like to have Mr. Mihai Manole give his points.
Thank you, Alexandru. Thank you for welcoming me on the 9th edition of your event. Congratulations. So I will say only a few words about ourselves and what we do. I represent a company Tema Energy that designs and builds data center infrastructure. We build all sorts of data centers from mobile or edge to next generation AI and high performance computing data centers, and I'm happy to say that we build more and more AI data centers, or more specifically said, data rooms yet in AI in Romania. My thought on the shield that we are discussing about, the digital shield, is the silicon shield, is that in this AI era that we live in, for sure the compute power and the data centers become the backbone of a silicon shield. And moreover, in Europe, we need a distributed and resilient placing of data center infrastructure. So I think it is very important right now to attract more and more compute power and data centers in countries like Romania, to have a better distribution of this digital resource all over Europe, especially nowadays when we have so many crises that are overlapping, like wars and energy and policy that is changing from a month to another and so on. And I think to stay relevant as a country, we need to attract as many investments in this area as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those introductions. I'd like to address the first question to all of the panelists. I'd like to ask them, given now that we are seeing the mainstreaming of AI use in various critical infrastructures from energy grids and finance, how they think we should go about getting the benefits of AI while reducing the risks and vulnerabilities that result from the application and maybe the poor or unsecure application of AI. What are your thoughts on this? What should we be doing? Who'd like to start? Please, David.
Just my beginning. For AI, for me, AI is best used for the dull, the dirty, and the dangerous. For me, in working in IT, there's not too much dirty and dangerous, but there is quite a lot of dull. And we can use AI very effectively to take some of that dull work and gain productivity benefits from doing more with this. Things that we can do with this, for example, is we have the ability to bring in the world of agentic AI, AI that does things rather than just reads and tells you things. It actually has agency and can do things for you. However, to your point about the security piece, if I have a role, then it is normal within business to understand role-based access control. If I run the IT, should I be able to go in and see what my boss is paid? Should I be able to go in and change what I am paid? These are roles that I should lock down and ensure that I can only do certain things. Then I have the new world of AI, agents working on my behalf. Should those agents have the same power and control as I do, when they won't necessarily have the same critical thinking? So we could consider the role-based access control applied to individuals as we are already today can also then be considered at that AI level to make sure that agents are tidying up that dull and the dirty and the dangerous, but don't then move on to do things which are more risky beyond that. I hope that makes some sense.
It definitely makes sense. Mr. Cojocaru, you wanted to intervene, and then Mr. Pavel? Yeah, please.
The first thing we need to do is we should stop treating AI as if it's like just a software upgrade, right? It's not. If we look at it, we are introducing basically a probabilistic control system, right? So I'm 98% certain that I need to take this decision into a very binary control system. I need to take a decision or not. So then it shouldn't be treated basically as just a software upgrade. And I think we should look at how we give authority to AI into all of the verticals that you mentioned, or the companies. And of course, we need many, many tools to do that. We need infrastructure, we need observability tools that go across border and so on. But it's still in the frameworks, right? First, I'm allowing AI to observe, then to suggest, right, before taking decision, then to summarize basically the things where AI is really good, because AI can take a decision at split second of a level, right? Very, very fast. What happens if it's a bad decision? That means I'm basically automating, or, AI scales very, very fast. I can take a decision in a minute based on Alex's question, but an AI can probably take 1,000 decisions per second. But if it's a wrong decision, that I suddenly automated everything wrong, right? So I'm creating a big chaos. And then comes the question, you mentioned finance, utilities, right? So different sectors. They need to be decoupled in a very interesting way. So there is a lot of hidden coupling in the AI world that I see from the basically customers that we work with, and we try to help them. But I'll ask a simple question. What happens if all of us are using the same model, which says this decision is wrong? Then that decision is wrong for all of the industry. So we need to take care of basically all of this coupling. So our test at HP is really simple. If an AI system is wrong, does the system become slow? Does it reduce performance, or does it fail and creates failures? I think that's the headline test we need to ask ourselves.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that if we start to discuss liability, we're going to be here until next week. So I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Pavel.
Thank you. I think the topic of securing AI, let's say, environments or workloads, it's extremely vast. And I think there is no silver bullet to solve this topic, or only one solution to solve this. We are working on few ideas. Maybe others will bring more ideas or will solve some things. What we believe a lot that very smart and easy to implement ways to have an AI environment which is private and on your premises, which you can manage in a much better way than using an AI technology which is online or is provided by a lot of global partners. And we have also some products in this area. So we have Private GPT, which is a full GPT, completely on-prem, completely private, in your own infrastructure. And you can manage by yourself, you can integrate the security and policies from the directory services, so you can much better be in control. So this is one option, and it could be used. And it's very easy to implement by some companies. And of course, another topic about security is also the quality of the data, the hallucination, of course, because it's coming with some risk when you are relying too much on the quality of the results coming from AI. And in this area, we are really confident that the models built and trained with your own data could address also the security topic. Because if you are building models and you are training with your own data, this hallucination could be much better managed. And of course, this is also a topic of RAG systems. So how well are these systems? And we are also working in this area to transform most of the unstructured data, because let's be honest, in your enterprises, in our enterprises, 45% of the data are unstructured. So how can you be able to transfer and to use this unstructured data in data that could be used in training AI models? So there are few ideas. Again, there is no silver bullet, but you can try few things, check if it's something that works for you, makes sense for you, and after that we can continue the discussion.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take the opportunity to also draw out Diana and Mihai, and I'd like you to position Romania for me in this. I'd like to ask, what can our contributions be to this Silicon Shield? What are the barriers in place? How capable are we of building our own sovereign AI capabilities? What infrastructure we have? So this is, I'd like to hear something about Romania, please, and I'll start with Diana.
Yes,
Yes, thank you for the question. I have always been an ambassador of Romania, both internally and internationally, wherever I had the chance. I promoted our position and our competitive advantage on the European and international scale. However, in the, let's say, AI infrastructure and making use of the capabilities of AI, Romania has started late, and of course, it needs to speed up and take some bold steps. So firstly, we need to have, and there were attempts, and now it's going to be implemented. So we need to have our own infrastructure, high-performance computing, AI-enabled infrastructure in order that we are running our own models. We may need to make use of this compute power and to link it to the high talent pool that we have in Romania in technology. So well-renowned at global level, our a pool of IT experts, our brains, we need to make them engaged into high tech, into making use of the knowledge and the experience they have, and we have all gained in the past years, so that we build our own or relevant use cases, AI use cases based on own data, based on own knowledge, and based on regional specifics, because we will need to play our card on the European and place and worldwide. We have a very important geopolitical presence, and it is sometimes or historically has been sometimes our disadvantage, but in the current context, I think we need to make use of it as an advantage. And build on this sovereignty in terms of AI capabilities. Of course, we need, as Mr. Manole was saying, to increase the number of data centers and capabilities and infrastructure available, and we need to also put a lot of effort into training people that need to understand at a larger scale how this infrastructure can be used and turn it into a local advantage. And there are some drawbacks, as we in Romania, we always have to look at that in terms of coordination at a governmental level. We need to be more structured, to work in a centralized manner, to avoid fragmentation, because we can only do that by working together, private and public authorities under a coordinated, in a coordinated manner.
Thank you very much. I liked when you said we need to play our card, probably as opposed to shuffling the decks all the time. I'd like to invite Mihai to give his answer.
Thank you. I think Diana mentioned some of the things that I would mention as well in terms of what Romania has and hasn't to attract better and larger AI and compute and data center opportunities. I would say that nowadays it's no longer enough to build roads and highways and gas pipes and energy centrals, energy production power as we have now in Romania nowadays. It's good that we have them, but it seems that we are not being fully aware of how important is to attract and to host digital infrastructures to stay relevant in Europe. It's no longer sufficient to base ourselves on the population of Romania to be relevant in Europe or dimensions of the country, but on how much compute power and added value we can offer Europe and our region. And I think we need for that, we need the government to be more involved. We need a national strategy to attract such investments and not to be focused just on industry investments, but also in digital and AI investments. And we need a better energy mix and lower prices and incentives. There's many things that we need in Romania to be on the map. Thank you.
I'd like to propose, just before our time ends, a lightning round. I'd like, in 10 words or less, from each of the panelists, a description of one of the gaps affecting the cooperation between vendors, academia, government, and other stakeholders when it comes to resilience strategies. So I'm looking for a gap in 10 words or less, and I would start with Mr. Cojocaru.
Tough one. That doesn't count as words. We have everything we need except more collaboration.
Thank you. Diana?
I would say that we would need a more proactive mindset. We are just reacting to, government frameworks imposed from outside, but we need to be more proactive and to have a continuous improvement framework and mindset, because attacks are vulnerabilities and ways that bad actors can attack us are evolving very fast. So we need to react and to prevent that.
David?
We have many building blocks we can use, many options. I would look to what you're trying to do and select the best building blocks for what your use case is. Maybe 10?
Please, Mr. Pavel.
I think the biggest gap, at least from our point of view, is that there is a huge gap between the expectations that have been presented or have been marketed by the global AI vendors and the expectations on the business side. So somehow businesses are expecting that once they are starting to implement AI, all their problems will disappear. They will not have to do anything else. They will not have to change any processes. They will just operate faster, cheaper, with less resources, and so on. So this gap between the expectation of the providers and on the other hand, on the beneficiaries, are creating a lot of problems when it comes to implementation, because there are so many projects that are failing, and are failing not because of technology. The failures are coming from the processes and from the right understanding of the expectations.
Thank you. And Mihai?
I think that we can work more and better on our mindset and have a more cooperative approach, and as long as we get bolder and have more specific objectives, we can reach our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought I had a panel of private sector representatives, but actually they were all diplomats. So I'd like to thank them very much for this panel, and I'd like to thank you, our audience, and wish the organizers the best of luck with the rest of the conference. Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to the panelists.